Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching SAMAA News. Here are today's headlines. The United States and Iran are nearing a potential agreement to end the war in the Gulf. According to sources involved in mediation efforts, a proposed one-page memorandum comprising 14 points is said to outline a framework to formally end hostilities. The deal could be followed by talks on reopening the Strait of Hormuz, easing US sanctions, and placing limits on Iran's nuclear program. Pakistan continues to play a central role in mediation, with officials expressing optimism about a possible breakthrough soon. US President Donald Trump says the war could come to an end if Iran agrees to the proposed terms. Trump stated that compliance from Tehran could lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and the lifting of ongoing military pressure. However, he warned that failure to agree could result in a renewed and more intense phase of military action. Iran says it will only accept what it calls a fair and comprehensive agreement in ongoing negotiations with the United States. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that Tehran remains committed to protecting its legitimate rights and interests during the talks. The remarks come as Washington signals progress in diplomatic efforts to resolve the conflict. US President Donald Trump has announced that Washington and Iran have agreed to temporarily suspend Project Freedom after a request from Pakistan and other countries. In a statement on Truth Social, Trump has said the decision followed an extraordinary military success against Iran and progress toward a broader agreement with Iranian representatives. He has added that while the blockade will remain in place, both sides have mutually agreed to halt Project Freedom. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has thanked US President Donald Trump for announcing a pause in the Strait of Hormuz operation. In a statement, Sharif praised what he called Trump's timely decision, saying it reflects constructive leadership during a sensitive period. He also acknowledged the role of regional partners, including Saudi Arabia, in supporting de-escalation efforts, and reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to dialogue and peaceful resolution. President Donald Trump has said that Iran should just wave the white flag of surrender, claiming Tehran's military has been reduced to firing pea shooters. Speaking in the Oval Office, Trump said Iran privately wants a deal with Washington. He also praised the US blockade as strong enough that nobody's going to challenge it. Trump also praised Chinese President Xi Jinping ahead of high-stakes talks in Beijing next week, expected to focus heavily on Iran and the Strait of Hormuz crisis. Trump called Xi a tremendous guy and said the two leaders get along well as Washington pushes China to help ease regional tensions. The Ministry of Defense of the United Arab Emirates has claimed that it came under missile and drone attacks for a second consecutive day, raising regional tensions. However, Iran has denied any involvement, with its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, stating that no such operations had been carried out in recent days. If any action had been taken, we would have announced it firmly and clearly, the IRGC has said in a statement, rejecting the UAE's claims as absolutely denied and devoid of any truth. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said that the ceasefire with Iran is still holding, despite fresh exchanges of fire in the Gulf and attacks on commercial vessels. During a briefing at the Pentagon, he said that Project Freedom mission in the Strait of Hormuz is temporary and purely defensive, and that Washington doesn't want to pick a fight. Speaking on the occasion, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane said the decision to resume war with Iran would ultimately be a political one. He said that recent Iranian attacks in the Gulf remain below the threshold for restarting major combat operations and described Tehran's actions as low-level harassment. Iran has reportedly set up a new mechanism to manage vessel transit through the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran warned the US Navy to stay out of the waterway and said commercial shipping will now need to coordinate passage with Iranian military authorities. Iran also issued a new map showing an expanded area of control around the strategic strait. The United Arab Emirates has restricted its airspace following Iranian missile and drone activity in the region. Authorities say flights are now limited to approved routes, with emergency security protocols activated after air defences intercepted incoming threats. Several flights were diverted or delayed as officials moved to secure the country's airspace amid rising tensions. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has held talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in Beijing on Wednesday, amid rising tensions with the United States in the Strait of Hormuz. The visit comes a week before US President Donald Trump is scheduled to travel to Beijing for a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping on May 14th to 15th. The Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has expressed deep concern over rising regional tensions, urging all parties to de-escalate, avoid confrontation, and exercise restraint. In a statement, the ministry has said it fully supports Pakistan's mediation and diplomatic efforts to reach a political solution, warning that the current situation threatens regional stability and broader global security. Chief of Defence Forces Field Marshal Asim Munir has said that Pakistan stands united like a bunyanum marsus against all internal and external threats. Chairing the Corps Commanders Conference, the Field Marshal reaffirmed the military's commitment to counter-terror operations and rejected Afghan allegations against Pakistan. The military's top brass also stressed restraint and stability across the region. Russian drone and missile attacks have killed at least 27 people across Ukraine, just days before a planned unilateral ceasefire by Russia is set to take effect. Ukrainian authorities have reported that Russian glide bombs struck the southeastern region of Zaporizhia on Tuesday, killing at least 12 people after hitting a car repair shop and residential buildings. Spain has granted permission for a luxury cruise ship affected by a deadly hantavirus outbreak to sail to the Canary Islands after being anchored off Cape Verde. The Spain's health ministry has said the decision followed guidance from the World Health Organization, which determined that Cape Verde lacked the capacity to receive the 147 crew members and passengers aboard the MV Hondius. Iran's Football Federation chief, Mehdi Taj, says guarantees are needed before the national team travels to the United States for the upcoming World Cup. He stated that FIFA must ensure respect for Iran's institutions, including the IRGC, during the visit. The remarks follow an incident in which an Iranian delegation was turned back at the Canadian border, citing alleged disrespect by immigration officials. The Met Gala 2026 has transformed the red carpet into a celebration of art, with celebrities recreating iconic artworks under this year's theme, Fashion is Art. Guests embraced a more literal interpretation of the dress code, drawing inspiration from art movements like the Harlem Renaissance and Baroque painting. Organisers say the theme encourages attendees to express fashion as a form of art, blending creativity with historical references. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.SAMAA TV. Thank you for watching SAMAA News.